In India, Hyundai is known for making cars that are practical, reliable, safe and economical. Phrases like fun to drive, great sounding exhaust and sporty looking weren't really used to describe Hyundai's cars until now. This one might just change that. Hello and welcome to Drive Spark. I'm Stephen Neal and this is the new Hyundai i20 N-Line. We've been doing some spirited driving around the scenic locales of Udaipur and we have a lot to say about this car. Well, it's time to play. Let's get started by talking about the design and styling of the new i20 N-Line. So you've got this familiar design when you look at it overall, but then you look at the little details and we'll take you through them one by one. So you've got this headlamp that has been carried over from the standard model. It's taken from the top end model, so you've got all the bells and whistles, you've got the LED DRLs, the LED projector lamps. You've also got the hood lines that make it look really muscular. It's also taken from the standard i20, but from there onwards everything is brand new, starting from the new grille. It gets a checkered flag inspired grille with these little elements that look like checkered flag, and it looks really nice and goes with the overall sporty theme of the new hatchback. Also you've got this new front bumper that gets the aero elements. It looks like aero elements, it looks like active aero, but it isn't. It looks really great though. It makes the overall car look really nice and goes with the aggressive theme on the whole. The sporty theme is carried over to the side profile as well. The overall silhouette remains identical to the standard i20, but then there are a few elements that set the N-Line apart, and that starts from these sporty 16-inch alloy wheels. They are dual tone diamond cut units and they are really unique in the way they are designed, and they make the car stand out. You've also got the red element in the side skirt and that makes it look really aggressive. It goes with the overall theme very well. And then of course you've got the blacked out top end. So the roof is blacked out on this one. This is a top spec dual tone model, and you also got the blacked out mirrors with integrated LED indicators. You also get wraparound tail lamps, and yet another element that you cannot miss on this hatchback are the disc brakes with the red brake calipers. Yes, you get disc brakes on all four ends and you get red brake calipers. That is really sporty. Finally, you've got the N-Line badging to set this hatchback apart. There are several design elements that stand out when you look at the i20 N-Line from the rear. Starting with the shark fin antenna up there, you also got the sporty spoiler with the LED stop lamp in it, and also you've got the side fins. All of them are finished in black. Also you've got this chrome strip that connects the two LED tail lamps. It's a split LED tail lamp unit of course, and it looks really nice when you look at it from a distance, especially in the dark when the lights are lit up. And also you've got the i20 and N-Line badging, and the bumper is brand new. It's got new diffuser like elements that make it look aggressive, and also you've got the sporty muffler with the new dual chrome exhaust tips, and it sounds really great too. We'll be showing that to you in just a bit. That just about wraps up the rear end design of the new i20 N-Line. Time to check out the boot space of the new i20 N-Line. You can open it from down here. It's pretty effortless to open, and there you have it, 311 liters of boot space. It can't swallow large suitcases or big pieces of luggage, but it can accommodate enough for your daily usage. Also, another thing, you've got the subwoofer in here. It's a pretty small one, but it's got the Bose branding on it. This is where your bass comes from, and it sounds really nice. So there you have it, the boot space of the new i20 N-Line. We're inside the new Hyundai i20 N-Line, and it's rather fancy in here. You've got the same sporty theme continue inside too, and we're gonna run you through all of it. So let's start with the driver's side where I'm sitting right now, and it's pretty cool to be in here thanks to the new TFT screen on both sides. You've got a 10.25-inch infotainment system and a 10.25-inch instrument cluster as well, and it displays a lot of information. Now before we go ahead, I want to do this quickly. It's a really cool feature. It comes as part of Hyundai's BlueLink connectivity system, and I can do this. So you press the voice control button on the steering wheel.
How can I help you?
Lower driver side window.
Opening the driver's window.
And there you have it. So it's a pretty cool feature. There are a few voice commands that you can use with the new Hyundai i20 N-Line, and well, it's a really cool thing to have. Also, you've got lots of other controls on the steering wheel here. You've got cruise control, so the controls for the cruise control are on this side. You can also change the different screens on the MID. Over here you get lots of information on the MID as well. You get information like the average speed, average fuel efficiency, the overall speed of the car, etc. Everything displayed over there. It's a really cool setup over here on the instrument cluster. It feels very nice to look at it. Also, the steering wheel feels really nice. It is wrapped in this leather, and you've got the contrast stitching on it, and the seats also get the same contrast stitching. Now let's get to the infotainment system. It's a 10.25-inch screen, as I already told you. It gets lots of features: Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, the whole connectivity suite, and best of all, it comes with the Bose premium 7-speaker sound system. We've got 6 speakers and a subwoofer in the boot, so it sounds really nice. It sounds really premium, crisp, clear. The bass is right, the mids are just right, and the highs are a little on the higher side, but it sounds great overall. And well, let's take a look at this little pattern here on the dashboard. So you get this AC vent pattern continuing throughout the dashboard, kind of like a retro yet modern design. Also, you've got the hazard light switch right in between the central air conditioning vents, and you've got the controls for the climate control right here underneath it. It looks really nice. It feels really tactile. It feels good to use. The air conditioning feels just alright, especially in this heat. We are in Rajasthan. It cools the cabin pretty well, but it takes a little time. Now you get wireless smartphone charging, so if your smartphone is compatible with wireless charging, you can use that over there. And then you've got this, the gear lever. You get the leather wrapping on it with contrast stitching. The red sporty theme continues everywhere. It's seen on the air conditioning vents, the controls for the AC, and even on the gear lever. You get N badging all across the car. You've got N badging on the steering wheel, on the gear lever. You get N badging in the seats. Even the seats come with a checkered flag theme as well. So it's a really sporty and young theme in here. It will definitely make you feel young, and well, it definitely made us feel young. So let's go check out the rear as well. We are in the rear seat of the new i20 N-Line, and at first look it looks a little boring, it looks a little plain, but then it's all in the detail. When you jump in here, you see the same red detailing, sporty detailing everywhere. You find it on the rear AC vents. Yes, you get rear AC vents, and you also get a USB port to charge up your smartphone. There is a little cubby hole there. You also get the seat back pocket in the passenger side. The driver's side, you do not get a seat back pocket. That is a little odd. You get the same red detailing in the door panels as well, and then the door handle is really fancy. It looks nice. It's an overall great experience here. Now the driver's seat is adjusted to my height, and with that adjustment there is still a little knee room left, and if I want to stretch, I can stretch just a bit. Headroom is great. There is no complaints on that front, and you also get a fold down armrest. There are no cup holders in here, which is a big miss at this price point. Well, that just about sums up the rear seat comfort of the new i20 N-Line. Alright, we're here to talk about the driving experience of the new Hyundai i20 N-Line. With a car like this, the driving experience is what this video is all about. More than the features, more than the looks, more than the design, specifications are all great on paper, but how does it feel on road? Well, we're here to find out. And we've been driving it around for quite a long time today already before recording this video, and let me tell you, it feels sublime on roads like this. On roads like this, the i20 N-Line feels the best. We will talk about the bumpy bit when we get there, but for now let's stick to these roads. And well, the steering setup, the new suspension setup, everything just feels perfect. The car that we're driving, the car that we get in India, is the i20 N-Line. It's not the i20N. So what that means is you don't get the full-blown 1.6 liter engine that is available in Europe on the i20N. Neither do you get the nearly 200 something bhp that you get on that model. What we get is the same engine as the top spec turbo version of the standard i20, already on sale in India. So what is different about this one? Why should you pick this over the standard i20, and what is it that makes it more performance oriented? Answer is simple. It's in the suspension, the brakes and the steering. Suspension, brakes and steering play a huge role in performance tuning in the world of racing, etc. And that is what Hyundai is playing with in the Indian market. Let's talk about the suspension first. The suspension setup on this car is tighter, it's more rigid compared to the normal i20. The damping force is increased by 30%. What that means is that it is a blast on roads like this one. I'm doing about 100 kilometers per hour now, and it feels just right when the roads are like this. Body roll is very well controlled. There is almost no body roll is what I can say. And then adding to that suspension feel is the steering. The suspension, steering, everything at work. Their tires were squealing. Feels just right. It feels so nice driving this car. The i20 that we have in India is very comfortable, practical, family oriented, and this feels something different altogether, thanks to the new suspension and steering. Now let's talk about the steering. The steering, Hyundai has increased the torque input needed to move the steering wheel. So what that means is you might have to put in a little more effort into the steering on this car compared to the standard model, but the reward comes in terms of the handling. It just feels nice on curves. We're just approaching some curves now, and I'll show you how stable and planted this is. Once again, body roll is minimal, the steering is holding on really well, and the tires are also holding on really well. Talking about the brakes, Hyundai has increased the performance of the brakes by adding 2 disc brakes at the rear wheel. It's a no-brainer really. It feels great. The bite is good, the progression is good, everything about the brakes feel nice. The upgrade is definitely worth it. Now when we're talking about upgrade, let me say that it costs just rupees 50,000 more than the top end standard Hyundai i20. The one we are driving, is the N8 DCT, and this is a top spec model in the N line range in India, and it just costs about 50,000 rupees more, and the brakes, suspension, steering alone are worth 50,000 rupees more. And also you get a lot more things in this car, like the seats, the decals, the new elements, the new bumper, etc, etc. Keeping that in mind, this is definitely more value for money than the top spec Hyundai i20 on sale in India. As I said earlier, we're driving the N8 DCT model. This is a top spec model, and it comes with a 1.0 liter turbo GDI engine. Puts out around 118 bhp at 6000 rpm and 172 Nm from 1500 rpm onwards. So that way the engine is very tractable. It's a DCT gearbox, dual clutch transmission. It's a 7-speed unit. It feels rather nice. Now there are some unique things about this gearbox that I would like to touch upon. So let's pull over and I'll show you what exactly I am on about. And there we are. We have come to a complete stop now, and we're gonna pull out again. Alright, now the engine note is like, when I shift using the paddle shifter, it took about 2 seconds to shift the gear, and it sounds rather odd for a DCT. DCTs are known for their shifting speed. They shift in split seconds, and first to second gear on this model takes a long time, and that is rather odd, is what we feel, because the other gears they shift fine. Now I'm in third gear and I hit the pedal and we're in fourth already, but first to second gear it's just like, and that is something that reminds us of a torque converter. We're not exactly sure what's happening with that gear, but otherwise this gearbox feels great. The paddle shifters feel awesome. With this steering feel and this paddle shifter, trust me, this is one of the sportiest hatchbacks in India. Now let's talk about the downside, so to say, of this performance setup in the Indian market. This is specific to the Indian market, which is why there are so few takers for performance cars in India. Well, it's simple really. You harden the suspension, the handling increases, but at the same time the ride quality decreases. And it's the same with this. Over bumpy roads, the suspension feels really hard. You feel every pothole, every bump. So that is one of the downsides. So that pretty much sums up the Hyundai i20 N-Line, Hyundai's performance hatchback in the Indian market. It's a great hatchback, feels very lively, and makes for an overall great driving experience. That's it from us. If you are among those who thought that Hyundai makes vanilla, plain Jane, family-oriented cars, well, the i20 N-Line is certain to change that thought of yours. Yes, it is fun to drive. Yes, it does have a great sounding exhaust, and yes, it does look sporty. And finally, we can say all of that in a Hyundai review. All this at a starting price of just rupees 9.84 lakh. That makes it a winner for us. If Hyundai has more N-Line cars in the pipeline, well, bring it on. We're all game for it. That was our take on the new Hyundai i20 N-Line. Thank you for watching. I'm Stephen Neal signing off for Drive Spark. And yes, do stay tuned and do stay safe. It's a lovely, of course you can live it, now what way drive, but you can accommodate